beaming to you from an undisclosed location that may or may not just look like a regular apartment building. It's the Agents of Nothing, Justin Partridge III, AJ Quebe, and today we're going to be talking about Jonathan Hickman's new image freakout, The Dying and the Dead. AJ, start us off, man. What did you were the one that told me to read this, and I was excited about it just because I'm a big Hickman fanatic.
Yeah.
But what was your initial impression of the book itself?
I really dug it. For me, the intro was kind of important for me, and the really awesome cold opening was just, it hooked me in instantly. I went through the whole ceremony of the wedding, that kind of thing. It set this cool, tone for me, because there wasn't a lot of dialogue for the actual scene.
It's definitely one of the more cinematic books.
That's a good word.
Hickman is really known for using the form in its most kind of bare. Like his books look the most like movies to me, if that makes any sense. But Jesus, you're right. That cold open is incredible. And then whenever the ramping up towards the end of the cold open, when him just deploying the credits in the middle of the panel, because for our watchers out there, what the hell am I talking? For our viewers out there, I just had a small stroke and I apologize for it. But be on alert because I may have to have you guys call somebody. But at the panel construction in that last page is really beautiful in that you just have these like gory vignettes of the aftermath of the cold open, and then Hickman is just dropping in these, or it may have been Bodenheim actually that made this decision, but Hickman being the designer guy that he is, I don't think this left a chance. But them just dropping, like, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Ryan Bodenheim, like in the middle of it.
It was very cinematic, like in a movie. You could see, like, in the movie, in your head, exactly how it would convey on film. Like, it's really, really good. I really like that part.
And the colors in that cold open also really struck me, is that you were saying before that it really hooked you just in tone, and the color choices that they use, kind of the ramp up to the actual violence, and the violence being kind of put in this blood red kind of hue, while the rest of the stuff is like pale pinks and blues to kind of, for the happiness of the occasion, to just kind of pull the rug out from under you at the very end of it. But that's not all. That's just the cold open. There's an entire there's like 30 to 40 more pages after this.
Which is a big another point. Like, this is a bigger issue than a standard 32 page. So, and there's like no ads in it, which I love.
Oh, I didn't even connect those dots. Just because
so happy.
Ads have just become so inundated to me within comics that I didn't even notice that there weren't any ads.
Yeah, it was. I kept getting, every time I turned the page, I'm like, please don't be an ad. And at the end of the book, I was like, there were no. It helped with the pacing. I wasn't interrupted by commercial during the whole thing.
And it's like it has two very, very well deployed two-page splash pages in it, which is something that I can really, I love a good splash page anyway, but it has two incredible splash pages, one being the opening, basically the opening title of the book, The Dying of the Dead, beset with like this broken villa, bodies everywhere, and you just have this huge, amazing logo in the center of the screen, or center of the page, excuse me. And there's another amazing two-page splash which ties into the rest of the story. The Dying of the Dead #1 follows a disgraced colonel who has come in contact with this odd elven kind of race that lives underground, and they're after a box that had been stolen away by Nazis. So once typical Jonathan Hickman stuff.
that sells the book in and of itself.
It's like the elevator pitch is like a Nazi box. There's like weird white elves that live in New Mexico, and there's a disgraced colonel. Go ahead. And I saw an ad the other day for this, and I had completely forgotten about it, but the log line that they had said on the ad was that it was the last great tale of the greatest generation. And I was like, yeah, A+. That's already got my 450 down. But no, I really enjoyed that cold open is like this kind of big, bold build up to something, and then it cuts off and then completely changes direction and gives you the other part of the story while still checking in on those characters.
Yeah.
Like, Hickman is one of those guys that I really enjoy for taking the expectations of a book and then completely subverting them for something really interesting and cinematic. And Dying in the Dead definitely 1000% hits that. I highly recommend it to anybody, even if you're not a Hickman fan or if you're curious about what he's doing. can definitely. There's a bunch of other creator-owned books that he's done that are really great, but Dying in the Dead is, if you want to get on in on the ground floor of one of them, I highly recommend it.
Agreed. So, if you had to bullet point it, what would you say the good from this book?
Good, definitely Bodenheim, and I think the colorist's name is Russ Wooten. The art team in this is amazing.
Yeah, it really
Hickman's usually known for working with people that his scripts are very tight, so he usually tries to work with people that are just as tight as he is. But this kind of Bodenheim kind of has like softer lines, like interesting colors from Russ Wooten. It looks incredible, absolutely incredible. But I've just come to expect that from an Image book at this point. Like it's either going to read really well, look really amazing, or both. Which is the Dying in the Dead. Another great bullet point is that it's definitely another exercise in genre from Hickman. Mm-hmm. Hickman is a guy that I love whenever he does genre books. Like, I love all of his superhero stuff, but his indie books is really where he starts to sink his teeth into something interesting. Mm-hmm. Examples being, East of West, which is just super freaky, post-apocalyptic
Which is funny, because I was going to bring that up. I think, like, the little, like, underground elf people thing, like, when I first saw them in the book, it reminded me a lot of the main character from East of West.
Definitely.
And
I wouldn't put it past him for like have some sort of odd connective tissue between this and East of West. I mean,
that would be cool.
Just Jesus, look what he's doing with Avengers. Like that book it hasn't been serialized like that in years. But no, if you're looking for something to kind of really get you into Hickman, I think Dying in the Dead, number one, definitely is a good way to go.
I agree. Mine would go, of course, I can't bring it up, the cold open. I really dug the intro to this book. It hooked me in for the rest of the book. And also how he like calculatingly like twisted the book about halfway through to where you're thinking, okay, so it's that kind of book. There's, Nazis and, militia, that kind of thing. And then it flips to all of a sudden there's an underground race of people with a super rich history. And
like buildings growing out of trees.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so the first half and the second half of the book are very different. Mm-hmm. And I dug that. I'm like, all right, so this is the kind of weird book that we're going to get as throughout this series. Plus, I trust Hickman enough that he probably has the entire series planned right now.
Oh yeah.
So I doubt there's much. But what bad would you say?
Bad, I would say that if you're not a Hickman guy or a Hickman reader, if you've tried his stuff before, this may not be for you, just because it's that weird kind of esoteric, heady narration that he usually tries to employ.
Agreed.
Plus, like you said, like I'm sure there's going to be just some insane labyrinthine plotting, like even just 7 issues down the road for this. Like I don't think he's going to waste much time getting real weird with this. But honestly, that'd probably be the only thing. Like if you're coming in with a bad taste in your mouth because Hickman's on the book, this may not be for you anyway. But why would you be reading a Hickman book anyway?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm assuming a lot of random people.
Yeah. I agree. I guess the only bad can come from if you're not ready for that kind of genre. It's a weirder thing. It's not a very straight, realistic story. It's got weird underground elves, and you got some kind of weird clone people. Because those, if you notice, like all the people looked exactly
like her.
So you got some kind of clone thing going on too. So it's going to be weird, but I like that.
I figured that would tie into like the Nazi cloning thing, because like we've mentioned a couple times there's a couple of like random Nazi touchstones throughout it. So I'm hoping it's like a weird Boys from Brazil thing with just that one lady.
Yeah, agreed. So if you had to grade this book out of 5, what would you give it?
5 out of 5, definitely. No hesitation. Throwing it down.
I'd go with you on that. I'd go 5 also for a perfect 10 out of 10. Just because I really, it's probably one of my favorite books this week for sure. Probably this month so far. It's, pretty much January's done. So
just continuing Image's hot streak.
Exactly.
I'm hard pressed to think of a book that I don't enjoy from Image right now.
Yeah, so that's going to wrap this episode up. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter. Agents O Nothing on Twitter. Don't forget, it's O, not of, nothing. Facebook, Facebook, same deal. Talk to us. Let us know if there's a book or anything you want us to check out, review, try to get into movies, TV, all that stuff. But until next time.
Until next time.
That's it.